You're listening to the Baumbastic Podcast with Andrew Ellis on Inside Arkansas.
What's going on, Razorback fans, and welcome back to the Baumbastic Podcast, the number one sports podcast, the number one baseball podcast in the country, and definitely in the state of Arkansas. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus here. I'm here in Lexington. I'm currently at a sports bar in Lexington, getting ready to cover Arkansas, Kentucky basketball tomorrow, and so apologize for the brief baseball hiatus. They're scrimmaging right now, and so it's been killing me not to be back at Baum Walker, but I'm joined by a very special guest on today's show. You guys may recognize him already, Rick Nomura, former second baseman at Arkansas, fan favorite, if I do say so myself. And as far as I understand, basically set the tone for Arkansas now becoming the home for Hawaiian middle infielders. And so we got a lot to thank him for his great time as a Razorback. Was a part of a College World Series team there as well. Also was a member of the coaching staff, technically, for like a couple years there, right?
Yeah.
So you're part of the DVH coaching tree. You, Tony Vitello, Wes Johnson, the great coaching tree of DVH.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Rick, so how have things been for you before we jump into it? Just, obviously we all remember your playing days as a Razorback, but how's life been treating you, man?
It's been good. My family, we started a nonprofit to try to help kids, get to the next level and just improve their games, because I went to Arkansas, I seen, the talent that's there. Obviously the kids are good, and I felt like Hawaii kids had a good opportunity to improve their games and to get better, because Hawaii, it's warm year round. So kids always get to play and work on their craft. So Hawaii tends to have a lot of good middle infielders. I think that's because a lot of us are playing year round and we're lower to the ground a lot of times, But the ones at Arkansas right now are definitely very special. Those three are very, very, very talented. So I'm very proud of them. There's another kid on the way. He's 6'5", a left center fielder that bats left-handed. So I think I'm hoping he gets to Arkansas. Hopefully the draft doesn't take him. Just selfishly, I want to see him play in the Razorback uniform. But yeah, it's been a awesome ride. It all started from COVID. Kids were getting gypped and they weren't able to get seen, and that's where social media came about. And like for Nolan's case, like I just moved back from Las Vegas. I've after Arkansas, I moved to Las Vegas, and now when I moved back, my brother was like, "Hey, like, would you want to like give a clinic to some of these infielders? Like, I feel like, you could give them some pointers." I was like, "Oh, okay." So that was just an idea, and I was working out at the school, and I seen this big kid, and his name was Nolan Souza, and I was like, "Wow!" And then seen him at a workout, and we filmed him, and I was like, "Coach Van Horn, I think I have a guy for you."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Is that right, Rick?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so I sent him the video. And he's like, "Wow, what's his name, number, parents' name?" He wants to know everything. So that's kind of just a gist of like how life has been. I've always wanted to keep coaching, but I want to also live in Hawaii. So I feel like that's my way to give back to the game, to our family's nonprofit.
Yeah, man, love it, man. You said low to the ground earlier. And while that may be the case for you, these Hawaiian kids that are coming to Arkansas these days, man, they're building them a little different over there in the Big Island, man. So it's just kind of fascinating to see. I mean, Nolan Souza and Vahiva Aloy specifically, like, don't look like when you think of a Hawaiian baseball player, you kind of think of someone with your build a little bit, the short, scrappy guy. These guys look like they're like you on steroids a little bit, man. It's crazy.
They're men.
But just how cool is it for you as someone who obviously, takes a lot of pride playing in the University of Arkansas, playing for an awesome baseball program, and being from Hawaii, to see it now, what it is now, where you have these three awesome Hawaiian players and potentially, have another one coming. How cool and how awesome is that for you, to just see that development and that evolution. And now, I mean, Razorback baseball these days, it's as international as ever. I mean, you got kids from Australia, kids from Korea, all over the world playing at Arkansas. For you, because, I mean, there was a little bit of international flavor on your team, but just how cool is it to see that evolution and see some guys, obviously Nolan personally and all that, but how cool is it to see so many, some island boys over there at Arkansas now?
Yeah, to me, I'm very proud of, just being from Hawaii and kids from Hawaii making a name of themselves and representing the island in a good way. Just for them to get to that level, to compete at that level and to succeed at that level is very, very, prestigious. Just to be playing for the Razorbacks is a prestigious thing. Like I was telling Nolan and his family about, calling the Hogs, and same thing with the Aloys. Like it still gave me chills. So my last game there, being on the field, and they had the the songs playing and the crowd calling the Hogs, like it gave me chills every single game. But for them to be there and to be representing Hawaii in a very positive way, it's awesome because we still have kids that always talk about them, and they're going to talk about them for a long time, about the successes that they've had, and the processes that those guys all went through. Like personally, we didn't work with Vahiva as much as we did with Nolan, but both kids are, I mean, well, all three of them with Kuhio, they're all great players and great kids. Like I seen them when we went back for the 10-year reunion. It was nice to
Oh
talk
yeah.
story with them and to hear that they're doing okay, not freezing too much, like because I know it's getting cold, but it's very nice to see them and to see that when I get to watch them on ESPN, it's like those guys are representing Hawaii, and better yet, they're playing for the Hogs.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the freezing because I was at the scrimmage last week and Vahiva, you would have thought he was about to go rob a bank. He had like the mask all on. He was wearing long sleeve, had like the long pants, everything. He was you could tell not necessarily used to playing in that like 38-degree weather necessarily, but man, yeah, it has been awesome to see them. And so I want to circle back to Nolan specifically in a bit because Nolan Souza is just my guy. I had him on the show last year. As soon as he got on campus, it just kind of could. I mean, I liked him. I saw what you saw when him and you a long time ago. Obviously, I'm not as good of a baseball mind. I can't see the talent like you, but I just have always liked his personality. And I think he's got a chance to really take that next step these next couple of years here and be a really special player. But before we do that, I got to talk about your career. And one, do your players that you coach, like Nolan specifically, like, do they know how good you were and that, like, you played at a very high level, played in the SEC, was a big-time player yourself? Like, do they know that? I mean, I'm sure you don't want to try and flex too much. You're a humble guy. But did Nolan know that you were a big-time player in the SEC?
I'm not too sure. Like I didn't try to like flaunt it on them too much, or well, what I think I didn't try to. I just told them it's a great experience going over there, and you're gonna be coached real well under Coach Van Horn and his coaching staff. They're gonna treat you like a professional. I was more about educating Nolan about the process on the about the process on becoming better and better and better, because you can't be complacent at that school because someone else can come in and replace you. Now more than ever, it's definitely tough. But I do appreciate your kind words. I try to play as hard as I could for the Razorbacks, whether I was diving into bases, or I remember I got taken out by Pete Alonso sliding to second, or kicked in the nose by Jonathan India, these guys are all big leaguers, but we were fortunate to compete against them. But a lot of things behind the scenes that was definitely something we didn't really talk about, about the extra batting practice I used to take with Bonfield or Tucker Pennell, or you see Benintendi talking to him, picking his mind on what he used to do. And, it was just like, um, me and Tucker talk about it because Tucker now is stationed in the Navy at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii.
Oh,
So
wow.
we'll talk about it every now and then, on like how we just miss the grind, just
Yeah.
being able to show up to the field and just get after it. Because the game was just like the prize at the end, but putting in all that time, effort, and energy was just like very rewarding to see it. When you go on the field and the fans are cheering, like that's what we're doing it for, is for the fans.
So Rick, when I talked to Nolan last year, when I interviewed him, he told me he couldn't pick out Arkansas on a map. He didn't know where it was at. I don't know when he visited or what his situation was. But for you personally, like when you were making that decision, coming out of JUCO, and kind of deciding, like where was Arkansas on your radar? Were you super familiar with the program, or was it just kind of an all new experience for you as well?
So I knew of the program because of Coach Van Horn. So Coach Van Horn, he recruited this guy named Shane Kumine when he was at the University of Nebraska. And Shane Kumine, to us growing up, was an idol. For him to get all the way over there to the College World Series was like, wow, this guy is like, he made it. So I knew who he was. I knew who the coach was. So when Coach Van Horn called, it was almost like God was calling. Like, I can't believe I'm on the phone with Coach Van Horn. So for me, it was very hard to keep it in, to not show him that like I want to sign the papers right now to commit to the
Yeah,
University of Arkansas.
got to play it
But
cool a little bit.
yeah, because I knew where it was. I was in Texas playing in JUCO. Had some when I was here in Hawaii. Unfortunately, I wasn't wanted by the university here, so I went to a junior college to try seek other colleges. Because my dad asked me, he's like, Rick, do you feel like you can compete at this level? And I was like, you know, Dad, I can compete at the D1 level. Then he's like, okay, well, I feel like you should go to a junior college first, and you'll be able to play, work on your game. And I think this area in Texas is a good place for you to start. So I went out to Texas. I think all we had there, I mean, it's kind of exaggerated, but it seemed like all we had was a Popeyes, Walmart, and the school, and that was it. And it was cool because Alvin is known for Nolan Ryan. That's where he's from.
Ah,
So going out there, I remember the first guy I faced was throwing 94 miles per hour, and I was like, wow, these Texas boys they're good. So
yeah.
that's where the journey started. And I used to spend 3 to 4 hours after practice just training on my craft just to try to get to the next level. 'Cause I was so determined, when you have that chip on your shoulder to try to get to, some place because people are doubting you. It was just like it made me want to work even harder. And my father and mom, or my mom and dad, always told me, you only have one last name, so represent it in a good way. So that's where I was doing my research and looking at schools and stuff. And then that's where the first coach who called me was Tony Vitello. And I was in art class at JUCO, and I got the call, and I just walked out of class because I was just like, well,
Got you, yeah.
I was like, I got to go to the bathroom. Took
Man,
the
that's
call,
awesome.
and it was, hey, Rick, this is Coach Tony Vitello from the University of Arkansas. And I was just like, holy cow. Like, yeah. And then he got me on the visit, talked to Coach Van Horn, and the rest was history. Once I seen it, I mean, even Coach Van Horn thought I was going to wait a little longer, but I guess he didn't know how much I wanted to play for, someone like him. So for me, it was a good opportunity, and I took it, and the rest is history. It was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, you had to play. You were like, yeah, I guess I'll go to Arkansas. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe, yeah. But I feel like obviously you got the Hawaiian legacy that you've left behind now, and now it's kind of taken off. There's also a JUCO like brotherhood. I feel like, and Dave himself being a JUCO player, being a JUCO coach, and now I mean. I don't know about Vitello, but the current hitting coach, Nate Thompson, he also, coached forever at the JUCO ranks. It's such a big part of college baseball. And so I feel like Dave kind of has that respect for the guys that come from the JUCO ranks, and you talked a lot about, kind of your work ethic and how you approached it and how much you love getting better. How jealous of you are of the new performance facility are you, where you see that and you're like, dude, if that would have been there when I was at Arkansas, I would be playing in the big leagues right now. Like, how cool is that to see kind of just how the program's grown, but now seeing like the players like Nolan has access to stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, when we played there, I still thought the facilities were top notch.
Yeah.
And I think you can have all the best facilities in the world, but I think Coach Manhorn and his coaching staff are probably the best in the country at keeping the team a team. Because yes, we had the Jerry Jones Center and all that kind of stuff, but how do you keep the team to play for each other, play for the guy next to him, do anything for that guy? So I thought they're very good at keeping that culture inside the baseball, facility of us just playing for one another. I think maybe now is pretty insane with the weight, the weight facility they have in there and all the technology and stuff. Like I think that's all great. And it goes back to the kids just have to put in the time, effort, and energy to become the best players that they can be. For me, yeah, I am jealous. I seen it when we went, and we had dinner in there, and it was just like, this is awesome. Like
Yeah.
being able to see that they have like the snack bars now. And I was talking with Corey, who's the trainer, and like all the stuff they have. It's like, wow, like a kid has to try not to get better now.
Yeah.
So I think it's crazy and even with the training staff, like they'll make sure they're on the field. They'll have the proper things that they need to do with the jacuzzis and the cold baths and all the cherry juice. Like I remember we had to drink that because it's good for like inflammation reasons and like all that
Yeah.
stuff. And I just like me and Tucker were all saying we missed the grind on just being there at the field all day, just training on our craft and go home, go sleep, and do it again. Like to me, that was very, very fun. And then also when you get on the field, you smell like the Tyson chicken and the kettle corn, and it's just like, God, like that's something I always miss. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than the JUCO where you're like having a tarp to field yourself. You guys
Yeah,
are probably
yeah.
having to drag the dirt and everything. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I want to talk to you. So one of my favorite obscure Razorback baseball games, and I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I remember like specific details about things that like a normal person probably shouldn't. But your first year at Arkansas, 2015.
Mhm.
Y'all were, I believe it was at A&M in College Station, and I want to say they were ranked number 1.
Yeah.
And you guys at this point, you guys ended up going to Omaha, had a great year and everything. At the time, it maybe wasn't going that well, and so I think you guys won game 1, and then it was a doubleheader. And I think it was like I can't remember if they like suspended the game and y'all came and picked it up the next day or something like that. But it was like a rain delay. You guys were down like 6-1 or something like that. You end up coming back and winning that game, winning the series against the number 1 team. And I feel like that kind of set the stage for the run that you guys went on all the way to Omaha. From your experience, do you remember that exact weekend and like just what was that like there being a part of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty epic. I'm not gonna lie. Being able to hush a crowd like A&M's crowd is one of a
Yeah.
kind. But yeah, it was the rain delay, and was like, damn, like these guys are crushing the ball. I remember, I think the guy's name was Logan Taylor. He hit one off a Takalini that went over the scoreboard, and it was just like a a wow moment. Like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But coming back, we seen them. They're all like the A&M guys seem like they felt like they were gonna beat us no matter what. So for us, seeing that was just like, okay, it's time for us to prove to them that we're better than what you think. And I remember Joe Serrano hit the bases clearing triple or double or something like that. I just remember once he hit it, I just started running because I was just like, let's go in the gap, and I was just running. I remember scoring and stuff, and we took that game, and then we knew like, hey, we have the momentum here, and just trickled over to the next game. I just remember Zach Jack just
Oh yeah.
being the man and closing that game. I also thank the coaches for that too, because Coach Jorn, who was one of the assistant coaches, and Coach Van Horn, they're big on being ball players out there, not robots. Now, I'll never forget that they had the scouting report on. I forgot which player it was, but it was more like play him a little bit more towards the 4 hole, and I did. I listened to them, and the guy hit a line drive, which I jumped up and caught. If I wasn't playing in that position, there's a good chance I probably would have missed that ball. So it's like, it's crazy how just the little things, and that was, I believe, going towards the end of the game. It might have been the eighth inning or ninth inning. So it was a big play, and they had a guy in scoring position. So it was all the little things, and just knowing that you got to trust your coaches because they're trying to put you in the best spot that you can. But it was such a great feeling. I'm not gonna lie. When Zach got the final out, and we're like, "Hey, we just beat the number 1 team in the country." Like we got a good team here, and it just started rolling after that. So yeah,
Love to hear that,
it's
man, dude.
awesome.
That year, every weekend that you guys won a game, it felt like Zach Jackson came out of the pen and threw 3 clutch innings. Like that was just kind of how it went that season, man. He was always the guy there closing at the end of the game. I think obviously got the save that sent you guys to Omaha. Another pretty good player you played with, I would say, Andrew Benintendi. Was on
Yeah.
that team as well. So in 2015, I think I was a junior in high school, and I was playing baseball at that time, throwing like 76 miles an hour. I had no chance of playing where you guys were playing, but so you at that point in time, you guys were like my idols. I loved all that whole team, and Benintendi particular. Like I had a Benintendi, I got a Benintendi Red Sox jersey
Yeah.
before he changed to number 16. I'm like the only person in the world who has a number 40 Andrew Benintendi Red Sox jersey. But he was, I mean, an all-time great Razorback, and put together a special season. At what point in the year did y'all realize something special was going on? Because the year before he was, a good player as a freshman, but I don't think people realized it was going to be like that. So at what point did you guys start to understand, hey, this dude might be, we might have something here?
Yeah, he was one of a kind. Obviously he's a great teammate. Besides being a great player, he's an awesome teammate. He always had your back no matter what. So, that trickled to everyone just wanting him to succeed. But yeah, when you see him hitting the home runs or getting the clutch hit, it's like, damn, this guy is legit. Like he's really good. And then I remember the Oral Roberts game. They try to pull a fast one on us and try to bring out a lefty from their pen, and we're like, do you know who you're facing? Like, you're trying to throw that guy against Andrew Benintendi. Like, okay. Sure enough, Benintendi hits the double. It kind of breaks the game open. And it was just like, it seemed like every time he needed a clutch hit, he got it. Or he got the clutch home run, to kind of get the thing, get the rally going. So it was like, playing with him was awesome to be like in the front row seat to see him just succeed like that. But better yet, just to see your friend succeed. He's just such a good player raised by great parents, and I'm just so happy to see how far he's got and his career. He's still in the bigs right now, so it's awesome to see, and he's a Razorback.
Another obscure random game that I'm going to have to reference real quick. In Hoover, you guys beat Florida, and it was like
No.
1 a.m. when this was happening. Benintendi hits the leadoff home run in that ninth inning, but a little Bobby Wernes came through with, I believe it was the go-ahead home run. Obviously, Bobby had a really good year that year playing third base. I mean, might have been the nastiest defender in the country at third base that year, man. He was awesome. And obviously he's now coaching on the coaching staff, and he's now that third assistant there. And how cool has it been to see Bobby's coaching career, having played with him, and I know he coached a little bit in the minor league level. Like, at the time, like if I had told you back then Bobby Wernes was going to be a really good coach, would you have been even surprised even a little bit?
No, I wouldn't have. I mean, Bobby was very smart with the game. He knew where to play, what to do, how to approach, things, especially when it came to defense. When I played second base, Bobby's feeds were always on my left shoulder. Everything was always there. You could always trust that he was going to field the ball and give you a good feed to make it easier on you. But knowing Bobby, I'm so happy for him to see that, he's coaching. I think that's a great pickup for the Razorbacks to have someone like him and his caliber to be coaching the kids. He can definitely relate. I don't think the kids should play him at Mario Kart because he'll probably beat them. He's very, very good at that. But no, all seriousness, he's a great guy, great teammate that, when I was there. And it was just fortunate that Florida game, when Benny hit the home run, again, it was like he got our rally started. So it was like, okay, like let's just go one at bat at a time. And remember when I was up to bat, I drew a walk and I was like, okay, let's go, Bobby. And Bobby hits the home run. And it was just like, holy cow.
Oh,
I think the night before it was Bernal hit the double. I think I don't know if I got a base hit or drew a walk, against Tennessee, and I scored from first. And it's that team. It's like we just had, guys are just getting hits at the right time, and that's sometimes just baseball. You just get the right hit at the right time, and teams are hot. And fortunately, we're peaking at the right time.
Yeah, it was really a fun year, man. And like you look back on it, and it's like, you had obviously Benintendi, the number 7 overall pick, but I mean, you look around the diamond. I mean, Tyler Spoon works at Bank of Fayetteville, like right up the street. Like just Joe Serrano is like cuts hair and everything. It's just a bunch of just guys that just were scrappy, gritty, and one of the things I think that helps with Bobby. And you see it when he hits that home run, he's like screaming going down first base. You can tell everyone on that team really loved being a Razorback. And I think that's what kind of, I mean, I'm not saying it's that simple. You just love the Razorbacks and that's how you're going to be good. But I think it kind of gave you guys that extra edge. And that's what I think helps with Bobby as a coach now is I think he gets to share that with the players, what it means to wear that hog and play for that name on the front of the jersey. And I think that's a really big deal. To save us both, kind of the PTSD, I'm not going to talk about the 2016 season. We're just going to skip it. We don't have to talk about it. We'll just pretend it didn't happen. It's all good. Your career ended in Omaha. That's how the story finished. But I want to get back to Nolan Souza real quick because, of course, obviously you know Nolan Souza very well, and I really do think when it's all said and done, we're going to be talking about. I mean, we're going to look back at his career at Arkansas, and we're going to realize it was pretty special. How would you assess his freshman season as someone who's known him and seen him play and seen him kind of develop over the years? He had some really, really special moments. I mean, there was a time middle of conference play where I was like, this dude might be the best hitter on the team already. Obviously, there's always going to be ups and downs when you play at this level and you're a freshman kind of acclimating. But just getting to watch him, how would you assess how he played as a freshman?
I thought he did awesome. He hit more home runs than I did. And I was like, hey, man, to do that in the SEC as a true freshman, that is incredible. And I would call him every now and then or text him and stuff, just let him know how proud we are of him, to be in that spotlight, to deal with, all the social media stuff and, being able to compete at that level. Because we know, like, he had to face Hagen Smith in the fall. I remember him telling me, like, coach, like, I'm struggling. And I was like, oh, yeah, because you're facing the number one, pitching staff in the country. Like, of course you're going to struggle, but keep pushing forward. Because, like, my father, when, he coached under Les Murakami at the University of Hawaii, their saying was the cream will rise to the top. So kept telling Nolan, keep pushing, keep working. And, now you see where he's at and, his freshman year. And it's like, hey, you went through some ups and downs, but that's how it goes. Like, either way, we're super proud of you that, you're being a good teammate, you're pushing forward, you're still hitting the ball hard, you're playing wherever they want you to play. Like, hey, man, as a freshman, you're getting to play. That's that was awesome to see, because especially in Hawaii when the game starts like super early in the morning. So I get to turn on the TV and I see Nolan's in the starting lineup, and it's like I don't need coffee, I'm up. Like
Yeah,
I'm ready to watch this. And then now you got Vahiva in there too, plus his brother. It's like
yeah.
even more so. Like I don't need coffee. I'll be
I
ready
know,
to
man.
watch every game.
That's
So,
awesome, man.
but yeah, I'm
Uh,
super proud of him.
it's funny you mentioned his fall. When he first got to campus. So me and a few of my buddies that are in the media, we keep stats of everything, like every scrimmage that Arkansas does. Like they're literally scrimmaging right now, and I'm not there, but I know a guy that's keeping stats, and we always share it. And so I remember Nolan. As most freshmen do, it would be weird if they didn't have a little bit of an adjustment period. But I remember coming out of the fall, as someone who covers the team, I didn't have him as a guy where I was like, watch out for this freshman. He's going to
Yeah.
start. But I think over Christmas break, you kind of have that maturation process. And he came back in January whenever they picked back up, and you could tell it was a little. You could see the wheels starting to turn, starting to see him figure it out a little bit. And then again, we saw some flashes of it. And I think this year now he's going to be an everyday player in the lineup. Just where do you see his game maybe taking that next step? Because I mean, again, we saw some of the power, we see the speed, and we saw little flashes of it. And he's a pretty well-rounded player. But what do you think is going to be kind of that next step for his development that can really put him over the top?
Yeah, for me, I see that, every year is a growing year. Obviously you can't be complacent with it. So for us, seeing Nolan, and we knew that he's a grinder. Obviously you guys can probably tell he's a super hard worker. So we knew it was just a matter of time until he breaks that starting lineup. So this year's a big year for him. We're obviously super proud. And I think, with him, the amount of ground balls he takes and the extra hitting he does, I think it's just going to help him grow into a big time player, and we see him as someone that, a lot of kids here, they idolize. It's like you see what he's doing, the way he goes about his business. Like he came back, he talked to the kids, here, the younger kids. And you know for us to hear the way that he's going about his business, it makes us proud that, like, I don't know if he's listening to what I said, but it's like hopefully we had an impact on him, to help him get and further his career. I mean, obviously he's raised by super good parents. Like I don't know if you met his parents before, but probably some of the nicest people you ever meet. And it helps that besides having good parents, he's a good kid. He's always trying to do the right thing, always trying to help people, and always thinking about others. So for us to see Nolan, and now he's going to take his game, going to his sophomore year, it's like, okay, man, you got this year and the next year. It's like then it's your signing year. So you know, keep grinding, keep putting in the work, because like my dad always says, trust the process. Don't worry about what happened. You did that game, learn from it and keep improving on it, your mistakes or your successes. And in this game, especially in the SEC, you're going to have a lot of failures.
Yeah.
So you got to embrace them and keep chopping wood and keep moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Nolan Souza will have a 3-year career at Arkansas. Don't think we need to see his senior year. I'm just going to go out on a limb.
I hope
but,
so.
Yeah, and this might be a little bit tough because obviously you're not with him as much every day. You're not seeing him in the weight room. You're not seeing him out there taking ground balls. But you've been around him enough. So he's going to be starting at second base this year, which he played a little bit of third base last year, DH'd a lot. And I thought defensively, I mean, he looks really solid. And there was a lot of talk coming in the offseason. You're looking at the lineup, and Nolan's the kind of guy you could probably put anywhere. I know they worked him out in the outfield last year at one point. Obviously, he played shortstop in high school, third base last year. You would assume he'd play first base. So he's kind of one of those guys you could just throw wherever. If you've got a bunch of second basemen, maybe you play him over here. But for you, where do you feel like his long-term future is going to be? I mean, do you think second base is kind of it? I mean, you see guys of his size back in the day, guys like him as big as him probably wouldn't play second base. But do you think he might eventually move over to shortstop, or just best case scenario for him? Where do you see his long-term future at the professional level defensively?
Well, for me, I think both short and second base are both good for Nolan. He's a power hitting middle infielder, and that's could probably play safety for the Razorbacks too. Like, he's a big kid, and to have someone of that size with his metrics is like he's different. So I think, to be honest, he could play anywhere, but yeah, I like him up the middle. And especially he hits left-handed. He has a cannon of an arm. He has great hands in the infield, and I think with his knowledge being under Coach Van Horn and learning how to play, in those positions is only going to help him better his career. So I think, yeah, he could be a power hitting second baseman, or he could be a power hitting shortstop. One of the two. I think both are great. I mean, yeah, they got Vahiva there now, But maybe, after Vahiva leaves Arkansas, it could be Nolan's turn. So, yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. You have like the middle. I mean, it's going to be cool already to see the two Hawaiians in the middle infield turning double plays and all that. That's going to be awesome. But to see maybe Vahiva pass the torch to him and be like, all right, now you're the shortstop, and they'll have to get someone to go play second for Nolan. But before I let you get out of here, are we going to see you at Baum this year? You got any plans? I know you said you came back for the 10-year reunion. I know that was awesome, and I'm not an easy trip to make, but you gonna make your way back up to Baum, see your boy play, or just see what the Diamond Hogs got going on? Could be potentially a special year,
Yeah, no, our family wants to try to get back for, I believe, the Texas game. So I
Okay.
believe that's in May. So that's when we want to go, because our family will do our trip. We'll take the kids up to Ohio. Nolan actually came with us, but we'll take them to Ohio to play against like Midland Redskins, which is where Benintendi played, and like Warhawks and all those guys, because it's a good exposure for kids. But the May time is usually the time that we have the free time to travel. So that's when we want to travel, to play. I mean, to go watch them play against Texas, because unfortunately, I never got to see a Razorback versus Texas game. Only got to see it on ESPN in the World Series, or that I never got to see it live, and that's what I want to see, because I know it's going to be electric. I definitely want to see the fans at Section 1. Oh yeah, so I have this jacket on.
I
These
was kind
guys,
of wondering about that. I was kind of
yeah,
wondering. Okay.
they called it Nomura Island, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's one of the things I was explaining to Nolan, about how, like, hey man, the fans are gonna really embrace you. I told the same thing to the lawyers, like, hey, the fans are really gonna embrace you. Like, I was like, they have a section called Section 101, like, it's
Yeah.
awesome. Like, there's this guy Jim Tran, or the Dodson family, like, they're always there, so supportive. So I always made sure I said hi to them and always thank them for everything. And but yeah, I definitely want to see them, and there's a lot more people I want to see, because that trip that we took back in a couple months ago was a quick one. We're in and out, and it was nice to play golf and everything and see everyone again. Like, I was glad that Benny was able to make it, and seeing like Bernal and Serrano and Chad Spanberger, everyone. It was nice to see everyone again, and it was something that I was like, man, I gotta make a trip back, and I want to bring my family. So I think it'll be fun to go see everyone again and see Coach Van Horn.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And hey, I want to let you know that's something that's kind of expanded throughout. I mean, nowadays, especially with the rise in Hawaiian players, you're seeing palm trees, you're seeing the hula skirt, you're seeing all of it. They're playing reggae music between damn near every inning. It is really cool. And like you said, that's kind of what makes it special is whatever you are, whoever you are, the Razorback fans are going to embrace you, man. So really appreciate you for being a hog and for for carrying that legacy. And I appreciate you for joining me on the Baumbastic Podcast, man. It's been really awesome, and I'm glad we were able to do this, man.
Yeah, of course, man. I appreciate you having me, and go Hogs.
Absolutely, man. Well, I appreciate everybody for tapping into the Baumbastic Podcast. It's been another great episode. We will see you guys another day.